first of all, you got to understand what performance is, and how human performance expresses deeper realities. Words, actions, all these things take on significance. Particularly, the ultimate performance, if you will, is the holy sacrifice of the Mass, where not only are we remembering, but that concept of remembrance, anamnesis, that means making present. A past reality comes crashing into the present. And what is that past, and drives to its future fulfillment? And what is that past reality? The redemption of Jesus Christ, the unbloody representation. This is a basic elevator pitch theology of the Mass. Made present through the priest, in persona Christi the capitis, in Christ the person, the head. This is the ultimate human act made by the God-man. And so this is the center of the cosmos. So what we see here, so they start off with the scene of the Last Supper, which is obviously from the famous Da Vinci painting, and then they morph it, and here comes this Smurf, right? This blue guy, and who is representing Dionysus, and so Dionysus, this is an ancient cult. It's the god of wine, the god of discord, etc. There's also, he has all sorts of things attached to him, and we can get into that. And I can show you in history, both church history as well as Roman history, the dangers of this were clearly seen of this cult. But it goes back ancient. It's a mockery initially of the Jewish feast of Sukkot, the wine harvest, the feast of booths, they call it, or tabernacles, were celebrating when Israel was delivered from slavery. God dwelled in these booths, and this is the feast that Jesus says, and it coincided with the wine harvest. And Jesus stands up and says, and after 8 days of drinking wine, not in revelry, but they're drinking wine, and all the nations can be included. Jesus stands up and says, anyone who is thirsty, let him come to me, right? And I will give him living waters, right? And so this is the feast that was taking place when Jesus said that. So this particular cult is a mockery of that. It's wine and revelry. The name Diodorus, and just a couple of notes here, seen as the son of Zeus, and they said Diodorus means the gift of God. He's one of the sons of God. Of Zeus. The other son is Apollo, and Apollo had a crown with 7 horns or 7 rays of light coming out of it, which is, you saw that the mockery of Christ, the little fat lesbian with holding her hands in the shape of a heart with 7 crowns, right? Which could also symbolize Apollo. So you have these two deity sons of Zeus, right? And so now he expresses himself both as male and female in form. Their ancient rituals first was all women, called maenads, meaning mad women, a Greek word where we get the word maniac or madness to describe their ecstatic state. Then they started allowing men in other areas, and over time it turned into a drug-fueled, ritualized grove located in the dark orgies. Okay, remember that phrase, drug-fueled gay orgies? You've heard that phrase in Catholic media in the last couple of years. Coming
sounds
out of
sounds like the Bohemian Grove, Northern California, and it sounds like Cardinal Coco Pomero's apartment at the Vatican.
Exactly, and so this is where, and this by the way, this is not just some kooky stuff on the internet. This comes from Livy, okay, who was one of the 2 principal Roman historians. So Livy is writing in the 1st century BC, right after the time of the Maccabees. We'll get to the Maccabees next. So they started allowing men in other areas. Over time, it turned into drug-fueled, ritualized grove orgies. The graver, the more violent the sex, the better. The word orgy in Greek derives from this cult. Orga is the Greek word for wrath or unbridled passion, specifically describing the sexual nature of these rituals. It became a free-for-all in the woods, animal masks to hide identity, to lower ambitions, which we see even in satanic rituals today. Flagellation is part of the ritual because the initial understanding of Dionysus, as Livy describes, and so does St. Clement of Alexandria, they would rip animals of their flesh apart and eat the raw flesh. Designed to break down social constructs and empower women, free them from societal norms, a bevy of homosexual acts. The result was said to be spiritual illumination and enlightenment. The men that went there that were invited They were invited there for lustful reasons, for curiosity reasons. They were that refused to certain grave sinful acts with other men. If you were a man and you're a straight man and you did not want to do this particular sexual act with another man, they would grab you, pull you into a cave, ritually sacrifice you, and commit cannibalism.
I see the deep state, the whole Build Back Better, the whole the globalists. They're trying to cancel Christianity and replace it with this cult of transgenderism, this cult of pride, rainbow, LGBTQ. To me, it was like if this was the Iwo Jima moment for the transgender LGBTQ plus movement, where they're pitching the flag on the opening ceremony of the 2024 Olympic Games, and they're basically saying this is replacing Christianity. Christianity is dead. It's obsolete. We're nullifying it. This is the new religion of the New World Order. And that's kind of where my mind is thinking, Dan.
You're exactly right. This is planting the flag. This is saying not just France, the eldest daughter of the church, but these Olympics celebrate a world communion. And so you have what the demons are saying, regardless of what these people that put it together, whether they know or not, the people behind the scenes know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what the symbolism means. There's always, if you look at even in the archaeological finds in the ruins of Vesuvius, they've got frescoes on the walls of these ceremonies, and there's always a little boy there. That's part of it. So you've got your man boy lovers there. You've got the men that were allowed have to commit homosexuality. The priests were women. If a man became a priest, he had to dress as a woman. All this and all these homosexual acts, ritual performance. Dionysus was the god evoked for plays and representations. This all sounds very much like the Bohemian Grove, doesn't it? So what they're saying, going back to what you say, is they're saying we were here first. We were here first. But also recall what Father Ripperger has said, that when we say, oh, look, the world has become infiltrated the church. And Father Ripperger has very clearly said that is not the way it works. What happens first, we see it in the world. You see this, a staffer in the Senate filming a gay orgy in the Senate chambers, right? U.S. Senate chambers. You see the division. You see the homosexuality. You see the transvestites. All these things, they're not moving from the world into the church. What Father Ripperger says is all these things are happening in the church first. And so as the demon has no right, but he'll take permissions, So if you give the demon permission, you open that, you crack that door, he's going to bust and bum rush his way in. And so whether it's your house, you give him permission by looking at pornography, you give him permission by being unfaithful, not going to mass, committing mortal sins, practicing witchcraft, you give him permission. He has no right to be there, but you gave him permission. If that we know to be true for individual families and homes and individuals, how the same works for cultures, societies. And now this to me, this presentation of this ceremony is hearkening back to ancient witchcraft in the ancient pantheon that was displaced by Christianity in the fullness of time when God sent his son, born of a woman. Yeah, so what we're seeing is, yeah, you're absolutely right. They're saying we're taking down the Christian flag and we're putting up the flag of paganism, which is ultimately Luciferian, because you got the Marie Antoinette, you've got that imagery, you've got they're invoking liberty. Remember, Dionysus is in the Greek. That's the Greek word. Bacchus, where we get bacchanalian revelry. This is from this ritual. It was so bad that Livy saw this and reported what they did, and they actually got rid of it in Rome in the first century BC. You can look it up. You can look up Livy's on the investigation of this Bacchus cult, and it became, from Dionysus to Bacchus in Latin, they made it illegal to practice these rituals, and to appease, just in case it was a real god, they transferred it over to the god Liber and Libera, freedom. Okay, but they eliminated all that the homosexuality out of it. But he even says that this is they would lead him to the place. They would cover the sounds with wailings and songs of choir and beating of cymbals. So the voice calling out for help when dishonored is inflicted upon him by force, meaning sodomy, would not be heard. And then they did this in the stimulant grove during a nocturnal ritual, which was eventually kicked out of Rome. But now it's resurging, saying we were here first. Yeah.
Wednesday War Calls. We'll be right back. Stick around. Don't go anywhere.